Imagine living a life where every step is guided by a higher purpose, every trial met with divine strength, and every blessing a reminder of God's unfailing love. To be marked by God is not just a symbolic idea. It's a profound reality for those chosen by Him. It's a spiritual distinction that sets believers apart, reflecting their identity as God's children and their unique place in His divine plan. C.S. Lewis, a master of theological insight, once said, "The real Son of God is at your side. He is beginning to turn you into the same kind of thing as Himself." This transformation is the evidence of God's mark, a mark that shapes who you are and reassures you of His presence, even when life feels uncertain. What does it truly mean to be marked by God? It's not a physical sign, but a spiritual one, visible in the way God moves in and through your life. From divine protection to supernatural provision, profound peace, and victorious living, these signs point to a life set apart for His glory. Stay with us as we explore the 7 signs that reveal this sacred truth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your journey toward understanding God's purpose starts here. 1. A life filled with divine purpose and direction. To be marked by God means your life is intricately woven into His divine plan, set apart for a purpose that extends beyond your understanding. This mark is not just an identity, it's a calling, a divine compass that guides every decision, step, and season of your journey. The path may not always be smooth, but it is always purposeful, as God works all things for the good of those who love Him and are called according to His purpose. Romans 8:28. Consider the life of David, a young shepherd chosen by God to become Israel's greatest king. David's journey was far from easy. From tending sheep to facing Goliath, fleeing from Saul and leading a nation, every step reflected God's deliberate plan. Even in his failures, David's heart remained aligned with God, showcasing how divine purpose doesn't depend on perfection, but on surrender. Similarly, Joseph's life was a testament to God's providential guidance. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and imprisoned unjustly, Joseph's trials seemed purposeless at first glance. Yet God's mark on his life became evident as he rose to prominence, saving countless lives during a famine. What seemed like misfortune was, in fact, preparation for a greater calling. In today's world, this divine direction remains just as real. Those marked by God often find themselves in situations that feel overwhelming or confusing. Yet these moments are stepping stones toward a larger purpose. It might be a career path that aligns with God's kingdom, a calling to serve others, or even the courage to stand firm in faith amidst opposition. When God marks you, He aligns your life with His plans, using even your struggles to shape your destiny. This divine purpose isn't revealed all at once. It unfolds gradually, requiring faith and trust. Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds us to trust in the Lord with all our hearts and lean not on our own understanding. His mark ensures that even when the way forward is unclear, His guidance is constant. To be marked by God is to walk a path illuminated by His light, one step at a time. Embrace His purpose with confidence, knowing that your life is part of a divine narrative far greater than you can imagine. 2. Protection under the shadow of His wings. To be marked by God is to live under His divine protection, a promise that transcends the physical and extends into the spiritual and emotional realms. This protection isn't just a shield from danger, it is an assurance of God's presence, guarding His children as they walk through life's trials. Psalm 91:4 beautifully captures this. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. The Bible is replete with stories of God's unfailing protection for those marked by Him. Consider Daniel, who remained faithful to God despite a decree that condemned him to the lion's den. Surrounded by hungry predators, Daniel experienced firsthand the power of divine protection. The lions' mouths were shut, not by human intervention, but by God's sovereign hand. This miraculous event was a testament to the mark of God on Daniel's life, safeguarding him from harm and glorifying God before all. Similarly, David, a young shepherd, faced Goliath, a giant warrior armed with weapons and arrogance. By human standards, David stood no chance, yet he was marked by God. Armed with faith and a simple sling, David triumphed over Goliath, proving that God's protection often manifests in extraordinary victories over insurmountable odds. David himself would later write in Psalm 23:4, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." In our lives today, God's protection continues to surround those who are marked by Him. This might be evident in moments when harm was averted in ways that seem inexplicable, or when peace replaces fear during times of uncertainty. It could be the emotional resilience to endure heartbreak, or the spiritual strength to withstand attacks on faith. God's protection doesn't mean the absence of challenges, but the promise that no trial will overcome you without His permission. When you are marked by God, no force, physical or spiritual, can reach you without passing through Him first. Just as a parent fiercely guards their child, God's love shields His chosen ones. Whether you face literal storms or emotional battles, His wings are a refuge, providing safety and comfort. Trust in this divine protection, for it is a powerful sign that you are marked by the Creator Himself. 3. A harvest of abundance. God's provision. To be marked by God is to live under the care of a provider who never fails. His provision is not limited by human constraints. It is abundant, timely, and often beyond what we expect or imagine. Whether it's spiritual sustenance, material blessings, or emotional strength, God ensures that His children have everything they need to fulfill His purpose. The Israelites' journey through the wilderness is a profound example of God's supernatural provision. For 40 years, they wandered in a barren land, devoid of the resources needed to sustain life. Yet every day, God rained manna from heaven, providing nourishment for His people. When they thirsted, water flowed from a rock. These miracles were not mere acts of generosity. They were a reminder that those marked by God are never abandoned, even in the most desolate circumstances. This principle extends beyond the physical to the spiritual. Jesus declared in John 6:35, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." For those marked by God, His provision includes spiritual fulfillment, a peace that sustains the soul, wisdom that guides decisions, and faith that strengthens in trials. Modern testimonies echo these ancient truths. Perhaps you've experienced a moment when a financial need was met unexpectedly, or an opportunity arose just when you needed it most. Maybe it was a word of encouragement, arriving at the perfect time to lift your spirit. These moments are not coincidences. They are evidence of God's provision for His chosen. God's provision is also a demonstration of His abundance. In Luke chapter 5, when Peter obeyed Jesus' instruction to cast his net into the deep, he hauled in such a miraculous catch of fish that his nets began to break. This story reminds us that God doesn't just meet needs. He exceeds them, pouring out blessings that overflow. To be marked by God means living with the assurance that He sees your needs and will provide, often in ways that defy human logic. Trust in His provision, for He is the good shepherd who leads His flock to green pastures, ensuring they lack nothing. Whether through daily bread or spiritual riches, His mark guarantees a harvest of abundance for those who walk in His will. 4. A testimony of grace, favor, and recognition. To be marked by God is to walk in His unmerited favor, a grace that opens doors, elevates you in ways you cannot achieve on your own, and causes others to recognize God's hand upon your life. Divine favor doesn't depend on circumstances. It transforms even the most unlikely situations into platforms for God's glory. Joseph's story exemplifies the power of divine favor. Sold into slavery by his brothers, Joseph's future seemed bleak, yet God's mark on his life was undeniable. Despite being a servant in Potiphar's house, Joseph found favor with his master, who entrusted him with everything he owned. Even when falsely accused and imprisoned, God's grace followed Joseph, granting him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. This favor culminated in Joseph's rise to power. When Pharaoh sought someone to interpret his troubling dreams, Joseph's God-given wisdom shone brightly. In a single moment, he was elevated from a prisoner to the second most powerful man in Egypt. Genesis 41:41 records Pharaoh's declaration, "I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." Joseph's story demonstrates that divine favor can turn any situation into an opportunity for God's purpose to prevail. Today, God's favor remains active in the lives of those marked by Him. It might manifest as an unexpected promotion, a scholarship you didn't anticipate, or recognition for your work that goes beyond human explanation. This favor often places you in positions where you can be a blessing to others, just as Joseph was used to save many during the famine. Favor is not something you can earn. It is a gift of grace that highlights God's presence in your life. Psalm 5:12 reminds us, "Surely, Lord, you bless the righteous. You surround them with your favor as with a shield." This shield protects and elevates, ensuring that your efforts are magnified and your path is directed toward His purpose. Living with divine favor is a testimony of God's grace. It reminds the world that His mark sets you apart for extraordinary things, even in the most ordinary circumstances. Trust in His timing, walk in humility, and let His favor shine through you, pointing others to the God who makes the impossible possible. 5. Unshakable peace, joy, and comfort. When you are marked by God, you are gifted with a peace that transcends human comprehension, a calmness that anchors your soul in the midst of life's storms. This peace is not born from external circumstances, but flows directly from God's presence in your life. It is His reassurance that no matter how turbulent the world becomes, you are safely held in His hands. The Apostle Paul described this divine peace in Philippians 4-7. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. This peace guards you against fear, worry, and anxiety, allowing you to navigate even the darkest valleys with confidence. C.S. Lewis captured this truth when he wrote, "God cannot give us a happiness and peace apart from Himself, because it is not there. There is no such thing." This joy and comfort do not mean the absence of trials. Rather, they reflect God's presence in those trials. Think of Job, who, despite losing everything, proclaimed, "The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Job 1:21. Job's steadfast peace came from his trust in God's sovereignty, even when life seemed unbearable. In our modern lives, this unshakable peace might appear during personal struggles, when a loved one is ill, when financial burdens weigh heavy, or when uncertainty clouds the future. Those marked by God experience a supernatural calm that sustains them through these challenges. It's the comfort that floods your heart when you pour out your sorrows in prayer, and the inexplicable joy that arises even when answers have not yet come. C.S. Lewis also wrote, "Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny." This profound truth reveals that peace and joy are not just emotional states, but spiritual testimonies of God's transformative work in your life. They point to a deeper reality, that God's presence is your true refuge, His joy, your strength, and His comfort, your assurance. When you are marked by God, trials no longer have the final word. His peace, joy, and comfort testify to His enduring love, reminding you that no storm can shake the foundation of a life built on Him. Lean into this divine gift and let His presence be your unshakable anchor through every season. 6. Victorious living through faith. To be marked by God is to live a life defined by victory. Victory not achieved by personal strength, but through unwavering faith in the one who fights on your behalf. This victory extends beyond worldly triumphs. It is a spiritual reality that empowers you to overcome sin, endure trials, and fulfill the divine purpose for which you were created. Romans 8:37 assures us, "In all these things we are more than conquerors through Him who loved us." Victory begins in the realm of spiritual battles. As believers, we face an unseen enemy who seeks to steal, kill, and destroy. Yet God equips His chosen ones with His armor, ensuring they stand firm. Ephesians 6:10-11 reminds us to be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. With His mark upon you, you are not fighting alone. God's power strengthens you to resist temptation and conquer fear, anxiety, and doubt. The Bible is rich with examples of victorious living through faith. David triumphed over Goliath not because of his skill, but because of his trust in God. Similarly, Gideon, with just 300 men, defeated an army far greater in number, demonstrating that God's mark turns impossible odds into undeniable victories. These stories are more than historical accounts. They are testimonies of what God continues to do in the lives of His chosen ones today. Victory also manifests in life's trials. Whether facing illness, loss, or personal struggles, those marked by God can rest in the assurance that He is working all things for their good. This victory doesn't mean avoiding challenges, but rising above them, reflecting God's glory to those around you. Your triumph becomes a beacon of faith, drawing others to the God who delivers. Living victoriously enables you to fulfill God's purpose for your life. It is a declaration of His power and love, inspiring others to seek Him. As C.S. Lewis wrote, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. Your victory is not only for your benefit, but a testimony that points others to Christ. When you live a victorious life through faith, you embody the truth that God's mark is on you. Trust in His promises, stand firm in His strength, and let your victories proclaim His glory to the world. 7. Reflecting Christ in relationships. When you are marked by God, your relationships become a reflection of His transformative love. This mark doesn't just set you apart, it compels you to love, forgive, and extend grace in ways that mirror Christ Himself. It is in these everyday interactions that the evidence of God's presence in your life shines brightest. Jesus exemplified love in its purest form during His time on earth. He forgave those who crucified Him, dined with sinners, and extended compassion to the marginalized. As His followers, we are called to embody this same love. John 13:35 declares, "By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." When God's mark is upon you, your ability to forgive and show compassion transcends human limits. This love is not dependent on the actions of others. It is rooted in the understanding that every person is created in God's image, deserving of dignity and respect. Relationships grounded in Christ reflect patience, humility, and selflessness, qualities that draw others closer to Him. As C.S. Lewis wrote, "To love at all is to be vulnerable. This vulnerability allows God's grace to work through you, turning your relationships into vessels of His light." Forgiveness is a profound expression of God's mark on your life. When you forgive, you break the chains of bitterness and reflect the mercy you have received from Christ. It is through forgiveness that relationships are restored, healing occurs, and Christ's love is made visible. Relationships marked by Christ's love are a testimony to the world. Whether it's a family member, friend, or even a stranger, the way you treat others reveals the depth of God's work in your life. As you extend grace, others begin to see the character of Christ in you, prompting them to seek the source of this love. To be marked by God is to reflect His nature in every relationship. Allow His love to flow through you, transforming your interactions and bearing witness to His presence. In this, your life becomes a living testimony of His power and grace, drawing others to His kingdom. Living in the mark of His glory. To be marked by God is to live a life of purpose, protection, provision, victory, and love. A life that testifies to His glory in every season. These signs are not merely blessings. They are reminders of your identity as a chosen child of God, set apart for His divine plan. Each day you carry His mark, you are empowered to reflect His character and fulfill His purpose, drawing others closer to Him. But this mark is not a passive gift. It requires your active participation. Embrace it by pursuing holiness in your thoughts, words, and actions. Let humility be the foundation of your character, just as Christ demonstrated in His time on earth. Most importantly, rely on God wholeheartedly. trusting His plans, even when the path ahead seems unclear. Proverbs 3:6 promises, "In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." As you live out these truths, remember that God's mark on your life is both a privilege and a responsibility. It is a sign of His love and an invitation to share that love with the world. Allow His light to shine through you in every moment, and let your life be a testimony of His goodness and grace. If this message has blessed you, please like the video, share it with others, and leave a comment about how you see God's mark in your life. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content. Together, let's walk in the confidence of being marked by God. See you in the next video.